Welcome back to Season 3 of Expedition Bigfoot. I'm your host Aggie.
And I'm Emma. We start this exciting episode with Ronny and Mireya. Mireya and Ronny run out of batteries while doing the night investigation where the whole camp is lit up like a Christmas tree. Mireya tries to focus in on the camp, but her battery dies. She then asks Ronny to make a sound. She thinks something is running towards her and she follows a trail towards it. She then wants to search the area for evidence in the morning. The next morning they check the area out to see what caused the noise. There are no footprints or evidence of any animals. She says the ground is rocky, but the algae is too soft on the ground. Ronny thinks it's tree peekers. Mireya wants to know about Bigfoot sightings in trees. Ronny says it's a coon thing. Bear Grylls said he heard a primate screaming in a tree one time, in Alaska of all places. Which made him search for Bigfoot. Mireya upon hearing this wants to put trail cams higher up in trees because gorillas do live in trees. That night, Ronny stays in the trees to observe while Mireya will search areas that Ronny spots any animalties in. He then gets a heat signature, but it disappears. He says the heat signature, is keeping itself concealed. Then he hears a tree break. I so scare. Then commercial.
Ronny says whatever it was stood up, then ducked back down. That is not what I saw. Ronny has a more overactive imagination than Keith. Mireya says there is a drop-off where Ronny says he saw the heat anomaly. Ronny, upon hearing this, says that explains how the anomaly disappeared so quickly. They, again, decide to search in the morning. They find 2 game trails where the narrator states the creature probably escaped from. While walking, they hear a chainsaw. They walk to the noise where they find a hostile chainsaw-wielding woodsman walking to his truck, who tells them they don't need to be there. The only thing missing was a hockey goalie mask. Ronny tells him they are Bigfoot researchers and then he changes his attitude, real fast and tells them about several holes he heard about, like bear dens. He then shows them pictures he says looks like nests. These nests are woven and not laid out. I just saw a padded down area like something laid down on some geese and not a woven mat. Mireya tells them that gorillas make new nests every night.
Speaking of overactive imaginations, we move on to Russell, who is 7 miles away and believes he's being tracked by a mountain lion. He says he can smell a cat, then states the apex predator stops walking when they stop walking. To test his hypothesis, he sends the cameraman to walk ahead of him 20 or so feet to see if he is attacked by the beast. When he believes it does stop walking, he wants to get the hell out of there fast. Russell believes the creature is a large, aggressive, starving, carnivorous man-eating apex predator ready to pounce at any moment and is stalking him and the cameraman for dinner. While searching, he finds a wooden stick lean-to. He thinks it is either a tree structure, location marker, or a warning sign for them to back off. Then he thinks he hears the man-eating lion watching them, but can't locate it in the forest. That night, while searching, Russell discovers a hair under a fallen tree. He thinks that a 9-foot Bigfoot crawled under a tree and a hair was pulled off its back. He collects the hair sample to send to Bryce. He says a mountain lion or bear would not allow hair to get yanked off. He thinks this might be a clue as to what is trying to pounce on him at any moment.
Bryce then talks to a woman named Harvest Moon, who is a local Quinault tribal elder, who calls Bigfoot he. Bryce then asks who? She talks about a few boys from the Maka Nation in the 60s who had a log thrown over their head and they seen Bigfoot. She says Bigfoot likes salmon nets, trinkets, children's laughter, whistles and baby cries. Bryce checks out her property and broadcasts a baby cry over a loudspeaker to lure out Bigfoot. An eerie silence blankets the field. He sees a shadow. I so scare. He grabs his thermal imager, and again, he doesn't see diddly squat. Bryce says that he feels vulnerable alone in the forest, but the sound he broadcasted drew interest, so he packed it in. The next morning, while driving, he hears from a man named DENNY BRZOZOWSKI, a retired engineer who worked at Area 51. Well, he doesn't say it, but the only places that worked on the stealth, as he claims he worked on, was Groom Lake and Dulce in New Mexico. He describes going to a Christmas party where he met a guy working for the U.S. government in Washington on a 5-year research project looking into Bigfoot. The guy, allegedly, showed him classified pictures of Bigfoot that he took in Washington from a classified doser in the Olympia Peninsula. One picture was a Bigfoot looking behind a tree. He then claimed the U.S. government has underground bunkers in the area. Bryce wants to find the bunkers, so he asks where they are. He tells Bryce he will tell them the area, but not on camera, and they have to be careful.
Bryce then calls in KELSEY, a LiDAR expert, to search the area to see if there are any underground bunkers. KELSEY sends up a drone to capture and record what is on the ground. He later calls Bryce and tells him about 3 spots that shouldn't be there. So KELSEY decides to pack it up to walk to the areas in the dark, not the next day, but that night, again in the dark, to scan the area by hand. He walks to the area to find more evidence, I'm not sure other than to find out why there are no trees in a certain area. While he is walking, he states that all he can see is a lot trees in the forest. Then he screams as he believes he saw something big, scary and heavy in front of him. Bigger than he. He calls Bryce to tell him about this, at his truck, and after reviewing the footage, he believes he sees a person walking in his LiDAR scan. Bryce calls it a LiDAR scan of Bigfoot walking in a forest. Well, I'm Emma Holmes. That will do it this week. Please come back next week for more exciting adventures of Expedition Bigfoot.
That was an interesting show. I'm surprised Bryce didn't ask Autumn Harvest Moon about the underwater stick figure he discovered, or will it be just brushed under the carpet? I'm Aggie Flores. I hope to see you next week.
Thank you for watching. As always, please subscribe to our channel. Please like, comment, subscribe and share. See you next week.